To the March 17, 2018 budget meeting of the Township of Washington Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers on March 13, 2018, and this notice has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board and the Township website. Please notify the municipal clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at mayor and council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors to your right and through the door on your left. Please silence all cell phones. Could everybody please rise for a salute to the flag?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman Bruno?
Here.
Councilman Casio?
Here.
Councilman Cumming?
Here.
Councilman Ullman?
Here.
Council President DeSena?
Here. Can I have a motion to open the meeting up to the public?
So moved. Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Seeing nobody here, can I have a motion to close the meeting?
So moved. Second.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Gentlemen, we'll resume the discussion of the 2018 budget at this time.
Just give us a page number.
I believe we were going to, the mayor was supposed to have some more information regarding the public affairs line items on page 17.
I apologize. Anything I was supposed to have, I did not get to this week. I had to deal with a not unexpected but untimely death as far as the budget went.
Okay. Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. Yes.
So we'll continue then. I guess we'll resume that once the mayor gets that information for us.
What page do you want?
I'm flipping through.
Thank you.
I have us down to 51.
I believe you are correct, Mr. Ullman. I was just flipping as,
Okay.
I'll get to 51 quicker. How's that?
Moving right along.
Moving right along. So we'll go to firehouse electricity, 80131 430001. 10,000 was requested, 10,000 was recommended. We spent about 9,400 last year. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes. I'm okay.
Sure.
Everybody good?
Sure.
DMF building electricity, 80131 430002. 12,000 was requested, 12,000 was recommended. About 11,300 last year. Marion, do we know why the jump is so high between 16 and 17?
No, I'm not sure, but I do know that I had pulled from the record an article about people should expect to see electricity bills going down this year.
Yeah, and we have
And here we have a significant jump.
yeah.
Yeah, from last year, but
From 16 to 17, there's a huge
Yeah.
jump, yeah.
I could.
It was
try to look-
consistently running about 8,000, and then all of a sudden now it's 11,300. That's a,
Yeah, I mean, without looking at the bills, I wouldn't know.
well, we haven't changed anything in there. That's going to change it to this year. So is everybody okay with the 12 requested?
Let's find it in the
We'll
actuals.
find it in the actuals.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
They're baseball fields.
All the DMF electricity includes the lights at Memorial?
I'm not sure if it,
Gardner, Sherry. I don't know if it's Memorial, but
Well, there's no power really at either one of those fields. That's why.
it's small, but
What page are you on, Mike, please?
127 in the detail.
Thank you.
right, so it
In the
includes,
detail? That's good. I would like to review those bills.
well, we're currently getting,
We're doing an energy audit, right?
yes.
Oh, good. I've got to find out about that. I'd like to be involved in that.
Some of them are, I mean, unless they come in on a lag, and there's $925 in December for one of the fields, Fieldhouse Electric.
Yes, I see
Like-
that.
What are we running through the field house?
What's the actual?
You're running an
I'm
electric
told that
heater
you're not
full
allowed, they
blast.
can't turn it off because there's refrigerators
127,
Where?
128.
in the Clark Fieldhouse.
No, that's all shut off. That gets shut off as soon as the season's over.
I'll have to look at it to see whether
I
it
was
was
there
somehow,
yesterday. There was
it could have been a
No,
catch,
there was no-
it could have been a catch-up because what they could have done was done estimates and then they did an actual.
Well,
So
the
I
meter's
can
outside
go
that
upstairs
bill.
and pull the bill.
Yeah.
One of the fields is running quite,
And I do see
Which
that
field
it
is
looks
that?
like there's,
I don't know, it does not say.
just one, and this
The one
should,
that's 900, that account.
I mean, that's a big number every month.
82109 is the last 5 digits. It says Field H.
Yeah, the December,
That must be the Memorial Field House. And there's
It's
an
gotta be
electric
Memorial
heater running
Field, yeah.
full blast or something over there for no reason.
well, it's probably
Yeah,
running
that's
to keep the...
Memorial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, Mike, that's not, that's
Yeah, that's
Field
Memorial
House
Field
Electric.
House.
Yes.
Well, there's probably water piping in there that's not winterized possibly. I'm just,
Maybe
thinking.
we could,
Why don't we winterize
that's
it?
one of my areas of great interest. I'd like to look into that. 'Cause it's all-
I know both, all the fields get shut down as soon as the season's over. The refrigerators are shut, everything's shut off, so.
So we should winterize the house? It's not being used.
Well, $900 is a huge bill, and then it was $500, but is that including the lights that go on?
A refrigerator's only $30 a month.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It must be the lights that go on at the field.
That could do it. That, especially the old style as opposed to the new ones, I
Yeah.
believe.
would you like, I can
benefits.
easily
In
go
December?
upstairs and
That's
pull,
a December bill.
Yes.
There's no lights on.
Well, you have the one that goes on every night, so I know it's only one.
One
I-
light.
I-
It's not like
see.
we're running the.
I know,
It's
it's
not
just
like
a-
we're running the field itself, all those old valves.
just so you know, it is a lag, and the December bill isn't even on here, because I just tallied up, there's only 11 payments here.
Yeah, that's the November bill is the 924. So maybe the November bill is the October bill while football's still going on, Steve.
Yeah.
Does that make
that's
sense?
possible, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want, I can go pull the bills right now.
Gentlemen, you want Mary Ann to pull the bills?
I think that's a
It's the light bill. It's the logical
that's a
explanation. It's a
explanation.
1 month
There's no-
lag.
There's no need to pull
Yeah.
it.
So
Whatever.
it's still the lights, Mr. Cumming, from October for the sports going on every
I'll be
night.
interested to see what the energy audit shows, because I'm sure it'll show some malfunction or uncontrolled
it's probably-
usage.
But to your point, Mike,
But
it
it is
it
what
went
it is.
from,
Oh, and the
86
scoreboard.
Well, scoreboard's new, right? So it
Yeah.
doesn't, and it's
That's
not
not
on
gonna-
every day, the
That's not
scoreboard.
gonna
That's
turn a
minimal.
lot.
That's only on during
Yeah, but it
games.
hadn't been on in past years, what I'm
But
talking about.
I don't think it's gonna add
Okay.
$500
If
a
that
month.
draws $50.
If it adds $50 a year, that's all, I mean, it's LED too,
Yeah.
so it's new.
we went from-
Okay, I'm just trying to think of what's
It's gotta be
different.
it's gotta be the lights, the
Yeah.
physical lights being on,
Could we
That would
just,
help.
if not
That would do it.
today, only because it's just escalating where everyone else is going down, this is the only one going up. So Firehouse is going down year over year,
Yes.
actuals. Town Hall is going down year over year, and this is escalating at a much higher rate,
Absolutely.
so.
So is everybody okay with the requested and recommended for that item for now?
Yes. I don't think there's anything we can
Mr.
do about
Almond?
it
With
today.
Mr.
Yes.
Cascio?
Yeah, I'm okay.
If we could look
Mary Ann,
at
if
it.
you can get us a little breakdown of the electric bills for the field house,
Sure.
please. Town Hall electricity, 801-31430-003. 35,000 was recommended, 35,000 was requested. There was a reduction there from prior years.
I'm okay with it.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Street lights and traffic controls, 801-31435-000. 60,000 was requested, 60,000 was recommended. Everybody okay
Seem
with
to be
that?
running very close to that in the usage, so it's historical, right?
Yeah,
Well,
it's actually gone down.
exactly, I mean, it's not nickel and diamond, but it's been decreasing the last 3 years.
Yes.
And we're keeping it constant year over year, so. I mean, 60's fine, but I think,
Maybe next year we can drop it to 50.
57.5 or something?
Yeah, something.
Well, just so you know, that's,
It's all street lighting.
it's street lighting, you don't have real control over it, they time it dusk to dawn. So,
Looks like it's 4,500 every month, maybe. Runs the same.
Yeah, because it's a X amount of lights times a number per light, so.
And it's, how long they're used.
Yeah, how long, yeah.
The timing.
I wonder if they all even work.
Easy enough to call in. It's digital voicemail, and you punch in the poll number, and it gets fixed.
But the streetlights?
Yes, sir.
No, but I mean, I don't know, I wonder if they, I never hear anybody complaining if the streetlights.
Well, typically, like, I know the light in front of
Working
Mr. Cassio's house always goes out, and people call me, and I say, just call public service, and all of a sudden, it's back on. I don't think it's on still, right? I think it's still off.
No, it's cycles.
Oh, it's cycles.
It's cycles, so like every day when I have a lot of patients at night, it goes off. Of course. So I have to look at my schedule, I'll tell you when the thing's not gonna work, Mike.
Well,
Oh, so it's set to your
Yeah,
schedule.
it's that's my schedule, it's the opposite.
But I know some days, I thought it was fixed, because some days I think it's on and some days it's off.
it brings
'cause-
you good
It's a
fortune.
motion detector.
It varies, it actually varies, like mine will go off, you know, it won't work on Tuesday, and then I'll look down another pole, that one will be off, but it'll be back on, so it's just like one or two.
All right, so maybe we have to have public.
I
think like Mr. Altman said, we just gotta punch in the poll
I assume it's an
number.
energy-saving program.
No, it's
that
not.
Someone has, so, okay.
No, we're paying for that light to be lit, because they don't have a
I'll be
meter
happy
on it, yeah.
to go by and get the poll number and punch it in.
Yeah, I mean,
It's real easy to do.
It's like 1 or 2 days a month it doesn't work, so I just assumed it was
Really?
some
Yeah.
type of schedule.
Well, that means you have
It's
to
more than 1 or 2
schedule
days
them,
that
and that's
doesn't
good.
work.
That's what I told my wife, yeah, they take it off, they rotate them.
Art, perhaps if you have that phone number, we can have Sue or Mary Ann put it on our website?
Yes,
So
that'd be
people
a
want
good thing.
to
Sure,
phone in?
sure. Be a pleasure. I'll get it.
Because in theory, whether the light is working or not working, we're paying for it, because they don't know unless we call it in, so.
And believe me, if people are noticing them, they call town hall.
They call, yeah.
Yeah, they call. I've had
Yeah, that's
somebody
what I'm saying.
call
I
and
don't think there's many
request.
out, I don't think there's many out in town. There are a few that are out, but I don't think there's like a huge number that are
No, they're
out.
not rampant.
And I've fielded requests for people to get lights installed where they don't exist.
Gotcha.
If pursuant to your, Mr. Ullman's request, I think, the public service number for service, the general number is 800-436-7734, and that is a voicemail, and you can put in
Full number.
your house address or your account number if it's in front of your house, and they will come and fix it. Otherwise, you may have to put in a poll number if it's another location. So that's 800-436-7734. I'll confirm that, get the voicemail steps, and give it to
Thank you,
Sue.
Mr. Clement.
Thank you.
Next item is telephone, 801-31440-601. It was canceled in February, the mayor's cell phone. So there's I guess a small balance for the month before that's due. So is everybody okay with the $84?
Yes.
Clerk's office telephone,
If I might just interject, so what happened was, just decided that it's just as easy to put it to one line.
Okay, I see that.
And so it's all accumulated there, so you compare that amount to the total for all departments on the next page, or, I don't know if you're.
So are we going to zero delete all the other accounts?
Yes, but they're just shown here, so you can see.
where you came up with the
Yeah.
41,550?
And I can tell you that between now and when you introduce, I might be able to reduce this further. We were trying to see what the bill was going to be with the new PRI lines. Actually, we had been billed improperly, and just recently, I found out they more than double billed us, and we're getting credit.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it was like
So this
over
may
$3
change.
grand. So, yeah, I want to see if I can track what our actual is for the first 3 months. I can give you a better estimate, and there's going to be substantial savings.
The,
Good. Thank you.
On the realm of communications, the mayor and I attended a joint Board of Ed meeting with with Westwood, and Westwood is very interested in having a presentation to the council from their communication vendor, who's going to run a fiber line throughout Westwood, which is already connected to Emerson and Oradell. And Mayor and I said we'd like to listen and find out what the costs are and see how we could reduce our costs by installing that also.
The savings are significant.
So the Westwood administrator is going to set up the presentation.
Good.
And we'll have it at a council meeting, hopefully in the coming, I think in less than a month we'll have it. They're very hot to get this going, and there's a benefit of savings if we both do it together. So Mayor was okay with having them come, and I was okay with having them come, but I just wanted to let the rest of the council know.
Excellent.
Can I ask a question? How come the police is so high?
They have
In-
a number of phones, they have POTS lines too, and actually in the recent project where we upgraded the phone, transitioned the phones, a number of their lines had to stay because they had to remain landlines in the case of emergency, so all their front desk. They're also, part of that has to do with the radio system, I believe, that's over at IHA.
Tie
That
lines.
flows through, yes, that flows through their bill, and they have a number of desks. They have a lot of phones in their department.
It's the dedicated tie lines that they're required to have.
Yes. Is everybody okay with the 41,550 for requested and recommended? And Mary Ann says it may be reduced in the final, once we get the credits from the vendor?
That's
I'm
good.
okay with it.
Okay?
Yeah.
So moving along, and then we'll zero delete all the different phone accounts
Yes.
once the final budget.
The court has its own line though, because they track, is it here? You know what, actually, I don't see it here.
No, it's
That's
not in
state.
this.
That has to be a separate bill.
Yeah, that's being charged separately, so let me, see, oh no, it's in the court budget below, that's where it is.
Oh, municipal
There's a
court
note,
telephone,
Court
yeah.
budget below.
Yes.
You'll see.
58.
Okay, when you get to that.
So moving along, we're going to zero delete all the different departments out for phone and have one general phone under administrative offices. Moving to water, 80131445000. 11,000 was requested, 11,000 was recommended. It's a reduction from prior year budgets, and there is a savings there, so. Everybody okay with the 11,000?
It's an increase from last year, though.
Well, no, it was 12.5 last year, Mr. Moon.
The budget,
What was it?
the actual.
The actual is
Oh, the actual, so,
So we expecting more watering?
I don't recall how we came up with that number.
Maybe the hot water's working now.
Actually, and I believe, yeah, it is. I believe, and I think Suez, I heard that Suez bills were gonna be going down, so
Using
you
more
probably
water,
could,
it's
you probably could reduce it to 10.
That should show up on the energy audit.
well, this is for potable water, not for sewage bills. Yes, this is for.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, so I think you probably could reduce it, although if we're doing more with the field, I don't know.
Well, the field's got a well, got a well,
It's
so
a
Oh, that's
well.
right,
that's
okay.
well water, yeah.
No,
right.
no city water at all.
At Memorial,
Yes.
it's well water,
Okay.
So,
as
Yeah,
long as it's running.
I'd heard
yes.
that. I haven't
I
seen
mean,
it.
in light of that, and I think I just recently read that Suez customers
Yeah, I think
can
2 to
expect
5%,
a
depending on, yeah,
decrease.
2 to 5%
You
decrease.
could at least bring it down to 10, it looks like.
Gentlemen, you okay with, Mr. Mayor, you okay with reducing your request to,
On this one, I'm actually not, because it was just a one-year dip, and so I don't know what that was. In the prior years, it was,
higher, yeah?
yeah, so I don't know if last year was an anomaly or if that's going to be the norm, so I'm not comfortable changing my request. If I see it drops again next year, then I would, but this year, I'd.
Gentlemen, we okay with the 11?
We could leave it at 11.
11, okay.
Okay. Moving along, Firehouse Gas, 3,500 was requested, 3,500 was recommended for 446,001. Is everybody okay with that? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
DMF Building Gas, again, 35 was requested, 35 was recommended.
Actually, in mine, I had increased it to 4,000.
Oh,
It was subsequently increased. I think while electric's going down, I think gas is going up, naturally.
It was, Mayor, because I have the latest ones you gave me, and it's only 35 also.
Yeah, I have it 35, so.
I have a March 9th one. I might have done that because of the way I saw bills.
Mr. Mayor, do you want to change your recommendation?
Yeah, if Mary Ann has done more research and thinks it's warranted.
Gentlemen, they've asked to change that DMF Building Gas to 4,000. Is everybody okay with that?
All right. Price of gas went down by almost 50%, but that means we're using more.
Well, their actual budget for 2017 was 35. They just were
Yeah,
just
I
under it,
see
just under it.
that. I
yeah.
see that.
Actually, that was one,
Thank
we had, was that one we had to do a transfer?
Transfer a
We had
couple
to do a
years ago.
transfer recently for
Yeah.
gas. That was for, where did it go?
What's the number? 4?
4,000,
Oh,
yes.
town hall I had to,
You okay with that, Mr. Allman, Mr. Cassio, Mr. Bruno, comment? Okay, moving along. So it's a plus 500
Well, the mayor, did you include
Yeah,
yours?
yes, he
Yeah,
increased
so
his
it's not
budget, yeah.
plus. Okay.
Town hall gas, 7,000 was requested, 7,000 was recommended.
I actually have in my book also 7,500 upped, again, based on the fact that we had to do a transfer in. The actual I have for the year was 6,935.77.
What's that, Mary?
I had revised the request to 7,500
Okay,
because the actual turned out to be 6,935.77.
because I show 7,085.97 was actual.
Yes, because subsequently,
Oh, it was
we had to
changed.
do it, that's the one we had to do a transfer into,
Okay.
So 75 is more accurate, as you
I
said.
believe. just
Mr.
to
Mayor,
give
you want
us
to change your
for
request on that
slight-
also?
Please, yes.
The mayor's asked to change the request for town hall gas to 7,500. Are we okay with that, gentlemen?
Yes.
Okay. Moving along, sanitary sewer fees, BCUA, 801-31455-200.
Wait, I'm going to change, you don't have this yet. The actual numbers came in after you got your budget.
Okay.
The actual bill is $824,352.
Why such a huge increase?
Well, it's actually not that big, it's only 2.7%. Last year it was much, much bigger. Look at
Yes,
the-
yeah.
The jump last year, it's all based on flow.
What's the number?
824, comma, 352. So that's the new requested and recommended.
That's a huge jump.
We don't control that, though, right?
We don't, no,
We
it's
do,
based on last year's flow.
we can, if we start to educate ourselves, we can control that, because I'm sure there's a lot of sump pumps that are hooked up to the sewer lines in town, and it'll be a discussion for another day. I've saved a few municipalities hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on removing the connected sump pumps to their sewer lines, because we're paying to treat clean water, and that's where that increase is coming from, I guarantee it. So, but that'll be a discussion for another day. This is the bill, gentlemen. Are we okay with 801-31455-200?
Yes.
Yes.
As we get rainier and rainier seasons.
That's not based on consumption,
no, that's
water
based-
consumption
no, it
by
is not.
Suez?
No, it is not, Mr.
Because
Owens.
sometimes,
Well,
it
no,
is.
it's based on the flow.
It's based on the flow. There's a
And
meter.
The actual flow.
last year's flow, and
Thank
flow
you.
can vary, and I can
Yeah, based on the rain.
Well, I can evaluate if our flow numbers have varied, but I do know last year they had a big uptick in their debt service, and that's why it jumped so much last year.
That
So-
was the 70,000 number?
Yeah, so last year it increased over 10%, I think.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah, so if you want, I can provide you information to see how the flow is, if it's purely the flow or the rate that's changing.
All right, okay. That'd be a nice exercise to see.
And we have to talk about the sump pumps. That's an
Yes, we do have to-
interesting situation.
Yeah.
And there's also rainwater infiltration
That's what I'm saying,
sometimes.
yeah, that's from the sump pumps, yeah.
Or if you have lines where roots are compromising the pipes.
Sanitary sewers other than BCUA includes Paramus, Ridgewood, Hillsdale, and Hohokus. 80,000 was requested, 80,000 was recommended.
Is this actuals?
No, this depends on how we're billed. It's kind of bizarre. We get billed in like 4 different ways by each town. One, we have no choice in the matter. Ridgewood, whatever they decide the rate per connection is, it's that rate. They doubled it last year. And then Hillsdale there's our agreements that are like 30 years old. Some of them have expired, and actually Hillsdale tried to change their billing process, and we're still working it out. The suggestion was, why don't we install meters, and then we know the actuals.
That's what I would recommend, is if we can have Mr. Poller, Mr. Mayor, look into these agreements and see if it'd be to our benefit to meter these.
I don't know if he's gonna know if that works, because
No, I want to see
typically
if the agreements are expired.
we can do it. We can change the
Yeah,
agreement.
but they have to be amenable, we have to come up with a new agreement with those towns because they're
Right.
expired. So I'm saying if he could look at the agreements, see if we have any leverage to install the metered, like Ridgewood, I know Ridgewood's like, no, we don't care what the flow is, we're gonna charge you X amount of dollars.
Right. Yeah.
And they're probably not gonna be amenable to us installing a meter there, because I just know from past experience. But the other 3 may say, okay, we'll deal with the metered flow and we'll charge you X amount per gallon.
Do you
But
have any idea how much it costs to install a meter?
it wouldn't be that much.
Okay.
I have to know the size of the pipe flowing out and all that.
Okay.
So,
And even what I might want to look into is, even though we have that agreement with Ridgewood, install a meter, and that way we can see the flow. And over
Absolutely.
a couple of years, then we could say, hey, you're charging us
Way too much.
absorbent based on flow.
Oh, everybody okay with the 80 and 80?
In one of our sessions, which I don't think we can talk about now, but there was some discussion as to some other sewerage and some other property. Did that ever get solved? Do we ever know what happened?
You mean Prospect Street?
No.
No.
No. It has to do with a planned development. Yeah, no, I'm not aware. Mr. Azalina is involved, I
That went
think.
dormant again.
Died?
Yeah, I mean, they haven't done anything on the project,
Okay.
so, yeah.
I don't know if that affects us, but that was a big discussion, so.
Yeah.
And just, I will mention to you, because this could come up, I noticed that we hadn't been billed by Hohokus for 2 years. So we could possibly, depending on when we actually get the bills, have to deal with a situation where prior amounts reserved for were insufficient. We called over there and they said, I guess they got lost in the shuffle. They didn't realize they hadn't billed, and apparently another town had asked for them too. So-
Okay. So is everybody okay with 456-200 for now?
So is that in here?
Yes, it's in here because the prior amounts show an encumbrance based on an estimate.
So we'd have to pay on the prior amount
But
budgets.
the actual bill may come in
Yes.
more than the prior amount, and we'll deal with it when we have, but I don't want anybody to be surprised when if it happens.
So the 80's good or not? Is my
I believe it is.
question. Okay.
Yeah. Everybody okay with the 80?
Yes.
Let's move on. Next item is police, gasoline, diesel, 801-31460-000. 23 was requested, 23 was recommended. Everybody okay with that?
Says increase due to rise in fuel prices, but are they actually going up? Or I think
Yeah, gas and diesel have gone up.
diesel's going up?
Yeah. I know for my fleet of trucks, I'm paying a lot more than I was 6 to 8 months ago.
I think the average price has gone up, Mr. Bruno.
Yep. Okay.
What's the amount you have there?
23,000.
Yes, that's
Is
what I
that
have,
correct?
okay,
Mr. Cassio, you okay with that?
Yeah.
Mr. Allman?
Yes.
Coming?
Yes, sir.
Bruno's good. DMF gasoline diesel, 27,000 was requested, 27,000 was recommended, again, due to the fuel price increase.
The fire department's good, 5,500?
We already approved that one.
reviewed that one, they
We reviewed that one.
Okay, right.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Everybody okay with that? 460003?
Yes.
Just on the police and even the DMF for non-frontline vehicles, have they looked at, hybrid or electric or more fuel-efficient vehicles? I mean, I don't know if the chief's car is, considered frontline, but, is that an opportunity, or detective's car an opportunity?
I think they're hybrids. I'm pretty sure they are.
No.
No, they're not?
No, they're not. And let me say, they did a quick look on those two, and they kind of came to the decision that to only convert two for maintenance requirements and things like that, it might just cause trouble down the line, and those two vehicles get the least amount of miles put on them, so
Okay.
it was decided to kind of not go that route.
Okay.
Senior city van gasoline, is there any reason we're not,
They don't track it separately.
we don't track it separately?
Under DMF.
Okay, so we're gonna zero delete that line then, Marion?
Yes.
Thank you. Next line on page 55, gentlemen, is statutory expense PERS, 801-364-71000.
We missed one.
No,
Which
we
one?
did that already.
Landfill dumping?
We've done that.
Yeah, that was done already. That was 67,000 was approved by us. Is everybody?
Sorry?
No problem. That's the one where we said we were gonna look, Mr. Lawler was gonna get us numbers for the tub grinder, so we could possibly reduce that in
Yes.
this year's, next year's budget.
No, that's different. This is the
Oh, no, this-
debris program. This is not the leaf disposal.
The Saturday program
This is
is out there
this
now.
pickup.
Yeah.
And this is the one we talked about getting a chipper
Correct.
to save on filling up the garbage trucks with trees.
But actually, those get recycled. That's not in this line.
No, we had this discussion, Mary Ann, on Saturdays, because depending on volume,
It's commingled.
we end up land-
commingling.
we
Oh,
end
I
up
understand.
commingling,
Okay.
and we end up dumping
Okay.
it as landfill.
Okay.
So if we could avoid commingling,
Sure, sure.
it'd be a huge savings, so. So moving on to statutory expense PERS, 80136471000, 129,583.56. Requested, the same amount recommended. I guess that's a
That's a
bill, correct? That's a bill?
That's bill net of the library.
Is everybody okay with that? DCRP pension, 10,500 was requested, 10,500 was recommended.
That's,
You see the note.
Yep.
Okay.
What's the 3% of, what is that? That's-
So we
that's
contribute-
An amount, 3%?
the employer portion of the funding is 3% of the salary of the people that are enrolled in the program, which are part-timers and me.
Part-timers also, huh?
Part-timers, anybody who's not, of non-full-time.
Even like us, I think.
So
I
long
know
as,
we are.
if you
Yeah.
make 5,000 or if you're part-time and you make over 5,000 a year.
So it's the dollar amount that triggers the
It's
pension?
both. It's if you're full-time regardless of
No,
how
I
much-
get that, but if you're part-time.
It's a
and
dollar
you make
amount.
$3,000 a year,
You're not in it.
okay.
Yeah, I think 5,000 is a threshold. Everybody okay with that? Pension adjustment for PERS, nothing there, nothing in the next line. Statutory expenditures for FICA and Medicare, 160,000. Requested 160,000, recommended, to be determined once payroll budget lines finalized. And Medicare went up, and so did the 6.25 up to 128 per employee.
Although I just learned, and I didn't realize this through a discussion with the police chief, that police department is not subject to Social Security.
No, no,
I didn't realize that, so,
no, they can't, they don't
Yeah.
collect that. No. So is everybody okay with the 160 and 160, gentlemen, for 472,000?
They don't pay FICA?
no, because
No.
they can't collect from the
They
system.
can't collect from the system, no.
Which, I said to them, when people are complaining about police pensions, they should point that out to the general public.
Yeah, they don't get Social Security. Everybody okay with that? Mr. Allman, Mr. Casca?
That's good. The line, not that they don't get it.
That's a good segue into
The
the
number
next
is good.
line.
What, I guess we talking about the state expenditures, PFRS?
Yes, that's a bill.
801-364-75000, it's an actual bill for $672,371, requested and recommended, which is a bill.
Yep.
Everybody okay with that?
So who's,
Yeah, Mary, why the big spike? Do we know offhand? I don't remember.
We have no control over that number. That is determined by the state based on the payroll for the prior year ending June 30th, I believe. And I do know that your bills, there's some past pension liability, and I believe that really emanates from way back prior to Christie, where Corzine, when he was running for reelection, told towns they could skip their pension payments to hold the line on taxes for that year. And now,
Sure we did.
State number,
so,
the taxpayer.
so we contribute DCRP for part-timers and for you, Mary, correct?
yes,
And everyone else is in PERS?
every other full-time, and there's, that would be all the guys in the DMF, and then the few full-timers we have in town hall. And I think there are former, like well, I don't want to get into, but there's other people that, because of their situation, so it would include some of the part-timers in the building, because if they were in the PERS before they established DCRP, they get to be grandfathered in. So some of the people are part-timers who are longtime municipal employees.
And then who's in PF?
That's police, fire, and so we don't have any paid
Right.
fire, so it's all the police department.
So we actually wouldn't we have a schedule that shows what we pay in by employee?
The bill
there's money
doesn't
going in.
reveal that detail. The payroll company handles a lot of the pension information. I could get that. I'm just looking at the bills right now. Okay, so
I mean, there has to be, we have to know what's.
I can tell you who's in DCRP.
Money's going out for employees, there should be an employee and an amount.
No, it's
Contribution
not,
amount.
it's not per employee.
Not that simple?
It's not that simple. It's based on total payroll.
Yeah.
Something by the state is
So
not
I
that
can tell you, for instance, for the police, the normal contribution is $209,363. The accrued liability is $435,840. And then there's a group life insurance component to it that's $27,000 and $27,168. So there's various components, because as I believe at some point it came up that the pension not only gives you, the PERS and the PFRS not only give you the benefit of having a pension, but you also get life insurance with that. That's like 3.5 or something times your salary. So,
We do nothing in terms of far as administrating a pension plan. We don't deal with that, right? The state
no,
does.
it's all through the state.
We good with that line, everybody? Moving on to, moving
Say
on.
no, but yes, we don't have a choice in it.
Moving on to page 56, Municipal Alliance, Match Municipal Share, 2469. Requested, 2469 recommended. Is everybody okay with that?
That's a grant, you have to do that. You already adopted a resolution
Okay.
agreeing to those amounts.
Everybody okay? Next line is Municipal Alliance, Grant State Share, 9876 requested, 9876 recommended.
Same thing.
That's a grant also, yeah. Moving down to the bottom of the page, recycling tonnage grant, 801-41731-200, $20,584.50 requested, the same amount recommended.
This is a grant that you'll see the corresponding amount in the revenue side. When you take it in, you have to appropriate it, and we're using this to pay the recycling hauler, which we talked about earlier, how we reduced their line item
And then-
to, the balance is coming out of this.
So these are both wash
Yes.
accounts?
Everybody okay with 731-200?
Yes.
Yes.
Same thing for the next one.
Clean Communities Program, again, it's 18,667.39 requested, same recommended.
And that's a similar thing where you see a revenue come in and you appropriate it.
But we required to spend 100% of what comes in?
Yes, or you could lose it, you can carry it over for certain programs. This is one where it was showed up in a different line in prior years before we see the zeros. We did get the money in. This is one where I had had to make up for reports that were missing and never filed with the state. He kept giving us the grant, but we're supposed to report how it's used. And in that exercise, by doing that, I'm working with the CFO to see there are appropriated reserves for grants, and there's a big stockpile of money for this grant that I'm gonna ask her to free up by releasing it once I show what was actually paid but not charged to that line, and that will flow into surplus.
So we don't have to write off any grants receivables?
I don't believe so, no, I think we can establish that we spent every dollar of them. And there may have been one year, we did receive a lot last year that we were slightly short, but we can use that to use towards things, and something like the tub grinder, I can see if that qualifies. There are things, because the program, just so you know, you're allowed to spend money on litter control in your public properties, your streets, your fields, your public lands. You can charge like the seasonal employees, if you can show that that's what they're working in, anti-graffiti removal. It does not include anything related to recycling. That's completely different.
Yeah. Marion, one of these two was also where you and I spoke about putting new cans at the fields also.
Well, that's actually, Peter, what the idea was, that's recycling tonnage.
Right,
And in the
yeah.
past, well, I know since the 2 years I've been here, the former mayor did not want to use that towards a recycling program and would not let us spend that money. So it went into a reserve, and that's where the recycling cans will come out. And in fact, they've added now for the recycling tonnage grant, that's where you report on So this year, we report for last year, and then they award grants down the road for it. And the grant money is funded by a 3% tax on your garbage. So they tax you for 3% on all the garbage that you put out, and then that becomes a kitty, and that's used to award recycling tonnage grants. And now they just added a new thing in your grant application where you have to say what you've used the prior monies for. So the money hasn't been spent, so we're quickly looking into, and it's something we need at the fields anyway. There's no recycling containers.
I have a, somebody brought this to my attention. We don't pick up recycling. So if we install these recycling cans all throughout town, are our DMF workers going to pick them up and then go drop them off in Westwood or Paramus?
No, what has to happen, if we get a dumpster here, they can,
That's what I'm saying. A lot of residents have always asked why.
our Bulldo people
Will come and empty that.
come and empty it
Okay,
out.
so we would have
We'd
a
have to make an arrangement and
Yeah,
figure
okay.
out, or put it at one location, but not let the residents necessarily come bring theirs down, because then it'd be too much. And actually, I only realized about 6 months ago that certain things were not being recycled here, which
Yeah.
I've changed,
Okay.
so.
All right, good. That's good to hear. Everybody okay with the Clean Community Program?
It wasn't being recycled.
Bottles and cans, we have a container upstairs for them, and they were being put in the trash.
Correct. That's what
That's what a lot of people
That's what
do.
a lot of people were saying. If we put these things at the fields, it's just going to go into normal trash, so why do it? Because we don't.
Yeah.
But if you're saying we're going to have a
We'll
special.
educate the people.
Well, no, we're saying, but we're going to have the DMF pick it up and put it
And keep
into
it-
something that
yes.
Bulldo's going to come pick up. That's great. It's-
And then you just have to make sure your staff is doing it right, because I know in my hometown, I see them doing it, and I go nuts.
Cringe, yeah. Just like people throw out pizza boxes, they're not recyclable.
Actually, they are if they're clean.
Yeah, what if they got oil on them? They're not
Yeah, they're
recyclable.
not.
Moving on to page 57, gentlemen, municipal court administrator, $19,032 was requested, $19,032 was recommended. I guess that's up for a 50-cent raise and 12 hours per week. We'll need to adjust for extra hours, may reduce since usually only raise on anniversary date, which is 8/21.
So this is for our new administrator?
Yes.
So I had a question here, that if it's actually, so the number we're budgeting is less, but we're adding hours and have 50 cents more an hour.
We're not adding hours.
No, we're not.
No, her currently,
It says we'll need to adjust for extra hours.
sometimes she works extra hours. So, it was, maybe could have been worded differently. She works 12 hours at a minimum, and then sometimes extra hours when there's court weeks. But since she's got it down to a science basically now, I'm not seeing, I could look at what her hours are, but I don't know that they're that much more than that. But I think that number factors in, let's see what it is when you divide it by
I mean, it is
30.
what it is. It just says that it's up 50 cents and
Yeah.
we're adjusting for extra hours and we're bringing
It's an
the,
exact
No, it
calculation.
will, okay, so 19,032 divided by 30.5 is 624 hours, divided by 52 is 12, so actually we should.
She doesn't take vacation.
Oh, but I said, but she gets paid for vacation because she's a permanent part-timer. When you're a permanent part-timer, you get vacation paid. So the idea was, I guess, typically we don't give people raises until they hit their anniversary date. So I think that the fact of her raise to 30.50 was delayed till August 21, that would give us the cushion I think we need for the extra hours. If you, I guess maybe we should, I don't know why that's so tight.
just, I mean, it's pennies, but it's just that your explanation goes against the dollar amount, so just.
No, that's what I'm saying, you're right, when you
So
brought
just
it to
make
my
sure-
attention.
yeah, so you
it's
can look at that.
1932 divided by, but the idea is, it depends on when the raise is given.
But it still would be, even if it's given for
Yeah.
2 months, it's still gonna be higher than last year. So, at any rate,
Last year-
it's $2,000, it's just going down and then everything's going up, so we.
Yeah,
last year-
Last year, the actual was
Last year,
21.4.
we had Margaret,
Yeah, it was a split.
it was a split, we had a full-time employee in there, so
You can just let us know.
All right, so do we want to approve the 1903 or 32, or do you want to do more research on that, Mary Ann?
I mean, I can say let me find out, I'll do it at a break, actually, so we don't have to do this another day.
Okay.
I'll find out what her trend is for actual hours. I can go upstairs and look at a spreadsheet for her average hours for a month and then extrapolate it.
Right. So we'll go back to 49110 as soon as Mary Ann has that information. Municipal Court Judge, 80143, 49160, $10,237.34 requested, the same recommended. Is everybody okay with that?
It's just 1.5%, right?
Yep,
Yes,
1.5%, yes, okay. Municipal Court Judge Extra Sessions, 80143, 490, 170, 500 and 500. Seems that's never happened, but I guess it's just a placeholder in case it does happen.
Yeah, the new court
think we have to do
administrator
it,
is
yeah.
pretty,
In case we have a trial.
yeah, definitely feels the need for these
Okay.
allotments.
Gentlemen, we okay with that?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Municipal Court, Court Administration, Extra Session, same thing. It's never been used, but I guess we have an extra session, we need to have that there. 225 requested, 225 recommended for 490, 180. Everybody okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Municipal Court, Violations Clerk, part-time, 80143, 490, 190. 19,600 requested, 19,600 recommended. Asked for $18 an hour, up from 16 for a base salary of 18,720, plus need to budget for extra hours, 2 per court for 24 sessions.
Who is this?
The violations clerk.
Michael, right?
Yes,
I forget his last
Who?
name. His name-
Kovalars.
first name's Michael.
Kovalars.
Is this a certified position, or is it,
I don't believe so, but he has taken training. I would just
So-
caution if you get into any more discussions,
Yeah, I know, I just want to know, so who asked for the 18 from 16?
the court administrator. That was her request.
Okay.
I believe she feels that's
I
what
have
needed
no
to
objection,
keep
I
him
have
in
no
this.
objection with that, gentlemen, do you? Anybody?
You know,
Bob, do you see?
we just had I'm sorry, we just had an employee leave.
I know.
Who was trained and skilled. And I think it's a shame to lose people because we're paying them less than, forgive me, McDonald's wages, or about that.
how many hours
I'm in favor.
a week? Do we know?
20, plus if there's court and there's some extra, he shifts his day around, but maybe 1 hour extra every court session.
Okay.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Mr. Stallman, Mr. Cassio?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yeah.
Mr. Cummings, good with it? Okay, moving on.
Just one
Thank you.
comment, you know, we're making a large increase this year in a lot of positions, you know, and then we talked about merit and everything. You know, if we get a large increase one year, I expect the next year to trail off, maybe not even going back to the 1.5% annually that we've been doing traditionally.
I think that's,
There's a lot of this happening, I understand.
but I think we're playing catch up and,
Again, but I just want to make it clear that they're not to expect anything in future, I shouldn't say anything in future years, but earned in future.
I think we'll have to take it on a
You know.
case-by-case basis because we are playing catch up.
Obviously, case by case. but
And,
that's
you know, I think-
There's only
something that
3,
needs
I
to
think.
be-
We say that, but last year we brought a lot of people.
Oh, did you? I would-
Last year it happened, there's only 3 this year.
Okay.
Oh, I'm just making that comment.
It's
Okay.
this, it's this person and I think 2 in the clerk's office.
I mean, we can't play catch-up in 1 year. I mean, if all the salaries are going up, the emergency services are going, everybody's catching up, but so if we're gonna catch up, this is why I keep hopping on, then we gotta pull out some reserves.
Absolutely, Mr.
Yeah,
Bruno.
we're catching up this year, but we're putting the taxpayers behind as well.
Right.
But we have to understand that if we don't catch up, we're going to lose valuable employees like we have in the past.
I understand that 100%. It's an issue that just happened over time. That's all.
Yeah.
And then once we reach a proper level, I think we owe it to them to keep up with, what is the national increase will be 0.75%. They've got to do a little slightly, and 1.5% is not overly generous.
Oh, I understand, I agree with you.
It's not.
I agree, but, you know, you gotta keep everyone in mind. It's a,
Absolutely.
Oh, sure.
you're weighing the scale. Taxpayer,
Yeah.
employee, it's gotta
No,
balance
for
out somewhere
this,
everyone's happy.
there's got to be a performance level. Yes, sir.
No problem. Okay.
Moving on, municipal court, acting judge, 801-43-490-191, 250. I guess this is just a placeholder, Marion, if we need it to have a,
Yes, that was her request, and I
Her
think she's
request?
required by, she's got to have her
Ordinance, statute or
budget
something?
approved by the Superior Court.
everybody
Yes,
okay
it
with the 250 requested and recommended for that line, which has never been spent?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Municipal court office supplies, 550 was requested, 550 was recommended for 490-210. Everybody okay with that? Municipal court telephone, $2,000 and $2,000. Actual only includes long distance, local previously charged above, but less with the switch.
I would think that would include the translation line too, the AT&T costs.
Marion, how come in 17 it went so low?
No, that's what I'm saying, the line is above. It was accounted for in the other telephone lines.
Oh, okay, so
That's
we're
what I'm
moving
saying.
it, so we're,
So we're putting it where it's supposed to be.
You can move to the municipal court, because that's state. I thought we segregated them out years ago to a separate bill and billing.
No, no. What I'm saying to you is, up top on a prior page, there was a 144242 charged, and that was the one part of the bill. That was the Verizon portion, this was the AT&T. So together, it's about 1,700 last year, so I'm moving it back down. It got mischarged
Okay,
last year
mischarged,
to the
okay.
wrong line, so it's pretty consistent with,
okay.
but it may go down, but until we know what the actuals are turning out to be.
Have we cleaned up the phone lines, or the phone carriers, or whatever? I mean, at one point, there was carriers all over the place coming.
We,
It's an ongoing
there's
process.
a, based on a tariff law, if you have a POTS line, you cannot have your long distance with the same carrier as your local. So we will never be able to
More.
eliminate AT&T entirely, but I will tell you the bill has gone down substantially because we wiped out lines, all the lines that were converted to the PRIs. That was part of the whole big task. It took a while.
And Bergen.
And I said, I'm
Community
still dealing with Verizon. Oh my gosh, the experience with them between even the people who are installing and the back office billing, and oh my goodness.
Okay.
Everybody okay with 490-230, $2,000 recommended and requested?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mary, I have a question.
Yes.
We have a lot of these areas that we fund and we never use. And I'll just give you the example, like the extra sessions for the court clerk and the one we just did up on the acting judge. Why can't we make that like a separate account and just bank it instead of it going into surplus? And this way we don't have to hit the taxpayer again every year for $250.
I guess
We
we
hit them
could,
250, 250, 250, that's $1,000. We just gave them another 250 in that line.
I'll have to ask
Why
Linda.
can't we do that? I mean, we have a mess of lines like that in this budget that
Well,
we
I-
never use, and we're double taxing the taxpayer for an event that doesn't happen. If you make it a, what's the word, like a trust account, I guess.
Like an escrow
fund.
An escrow, for that particular line item, we don't have to kill the taxpayer for it. I know it's only $250 here and $250, but that adds up over time.
Okay, actually,
What you could do.
I think that's not a bad suggestion. I can ask Linda. I just realized that she'd given me memos where she asked to move around some of her money. I don't know if we've gotten to those
I mean,
lines
there's
yet.
gotta be a way where we can do that. We don't have to keep
I
every
mean,
year
what you
they're
could do is,
asking for.
if you put a placeholder in, to your point, right? And then at the end of the budget session, we then go back, and we know what's in surplus, which is this huge $5 million number.
Right.
So then you pick out all these guys and say, listen, we put this in, nothing happened, it's in surplus, so that comes out of surplus immediately. So let's say it's $250.
Okay.
You take $250 from your surplus number, and that goes against what we taxed everybody, so now they get the benefit and take it back, plus what else we feel has to come out of surplus. So at a minimum, everything that we budgeted, that we didn't spend as a placeholder, it's in surplus from years. So now you just
Sure.
go back and say, okay, it's $100,000. At a minimum, 100 comes out of surplus, goes right back into the surplus line, plus what else we want from surplus. So
Is
it's
that
doing what you're doing, but
Is
in
that
a
still
different way.
dedicated for that particular line? That's what I'm asking. Or is it where you need it? Or we had 100,000 in surplus and we need 100,000 and 500,
$100,250.
okay?
Yeah, you would
Well-
take out the extra 250 from the 100 plus the 250. you would take and put into surplus, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, wouldn't there be a deficit of
And then you would
250?
take it out in the following year, is what you're saying?
Yeah, in other words, this
Yeah.
goes into surplus.
Right.
It's not spent.
Right,
So let's
exactly.
say we had zero. Next year, you take out $250 and you put it in
Yeah.
as a reduction to your capital appropriations because we didn't spend it. And
Right.
so we now appropriate 500, they get 250 back.
Right.
But
Yeah.
The problem I have with trust funds.
Is it there when we have this extra session of X? Is
Yeah.
it there
Yeah.
specifically
Yeah,
marked
because
for
you're
this?
going to put it in.
But I think statutorily, it may have to be a budget line item.
No, but you put it
For
in.
the- for the
At the
municipal
end of
court,
the
at least.
year, you use it or you don't use it. If you don't use it, it goes to surplus, and then you give it back to the taxpayer. The next year you come, you put it in again. If you don't use it, you give it back to the taxpayer. If you use it, and they have to do it, then it'll be coming out of that line item, is what I'm saying.
I think to your point, Bob, we don't want to have like $250 reserve accounts.
Well, I don't think you
and-
want trust
Well, I
funds,
don't think-
because
And
it's.
small ones,
we
I'm
got
sure there's a
trouble.
balance where if
We
it's
got
a
in
big
trouble
enough
with trust
number,
funds, yeah.
you do it, but on a 250 and 500, I tend to
Yeah.
agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, we just bring it back.
Right,
We take everything that we over budgeted for placeholder and say
Right,
the taxpayer gets it back next
back in
year.
it, right.
Yeah, over
At a
budget
minimum,
for-
you get this amount back because, we protected what we thought we were protecting,
I
it didn't
understand,
happen.
just, again, the taxpayers getting back the same 250 every year that's never spent.
But it goes into
But
surplus, it is going back into
spent,
surplus.
Maybe not on that line item, but it is spent, I think is what we're
Well,
trying to
it's
say.
got to come back to
It's gotta come
surplus.
back to
Yeah.
surplus, yeah.
Right.
So, we good, Mr. Cassidy?
Oh, yeah, that's fine,
Okay.
I just wanted to.
Municipal
clarify
court,
that.
subscription and books?
Wait, I
The
just,
point, the point is valid, Steve, is all the stuff that's there, at a minimum, that comes back.
Yeah,
That's all.
right.
Marion, did you have something?
yes, I'm sorry, just on a couple of these line items, I received, after the budget recommendations were made, something I did this year that hadn't been done is I submitted to all the departments what was recommended versus what they requested, so that it would give them time to urge again if there needed to be money. So what Linda Lucini had done was, she reduced her recommended for the subscription of books down from 1,000 to 575 when she got her detail of what she wanted.
Okay.
But she asked that that money, the difference in savings, be reallocated to the interpreting services, which the mayor had reduced based on past history. She believes that she's going to need 925 this year.
Where's
So-
the 925, which line?
Two
item?
lines down, so 1,000 becomes 575 for subscription and
Yeah.
books. And then you jump to two lines to interpreting services, where she'd asked for 1080. She's reduced her request to 925. And Peter, if you want to tell me, if you want to recommend those, we can change those.
I'm a little confused. She's changing 240 to 575?
Yes,
And then on 260, she wants to change her requested to something, or she
to
wants
925, yes. She wants to.
Because it's 1080.
Yeah,
is
no,
what
but
she
she's
requested.
reducing it on second thought. She said, well, she really wanted to request that your recommend go up by 425. She feels then she needs more money
So
there.
she wants to change her recommended from 1080 to 975?
925.
925?
Yes. So the,
This
to-
this
mean-
becomes a Steve question again. Now you start adding up 250, 550, 600, 500, now you're probably talking a couple $1,000, right?
well, I can tell you the
Plus the five,
subscription,
Plus the two.
excuse me, Bob?
Yep.
The subscription, she gave me detail of the exact publications. This is a line that
No,
I do know.
I get that, it's the other one, it's the interpreting, and I know every year we say, if somebody comes and you have to get an interpreter, so it's another placeholder is what it is.
It's one of these, just like secretary fees for meetings that
Yeah, you
maybe
don't
never
know.
happen. You just have to,
You have to budget
you
for
have
it.
to budget for it.
No, I get it, but I'm just saying, we spent nothing, and then when we did need it was $180, and now she's saying
925.
something.
Well, I think in the past, I can tell you that the former mayor would limit what they could spend and not allow certain things.
Yeah, but
And
I
by
can't see her-
law,
I
you
can't see her
You can't
not-
call somebody out of the, she used to ask them to call somebody out of the audience to do translation. I mean, that's not allowed. You have to do it officially.
I've seen
Yeah,
it done, but it's
Not right.
it's not right.
I mean, she must know something we all don't know, but we spent 180 last year, and now she's saying she needs 925?
Well, I'll tell you her
a
words.
weird
This is her words, okay?
Okay.
Interpreting services. In being very mindful and sensitive to the cost of the town for interpreting services, the courts must still follow the requirements mandated by the state. In doing so, I know the court will not be able to stay within the monies allocated at this time, which is the $500. If we could move $425 out of subscriptions and place that money into interpreters, I believe that can work. I have received quotes on subscriptions for the updates in the office, and they total $575. So on and so forth. She's mindful. She says, by reconfiguring those two line items, interpreting services and subscriptions, the court will not burden the budget with any additional costs while being better prepared for the possible necessary cost of interpreters. We hope that you will consider this proposal.
Sounds well thought out.
But again, I'm not a fan of just interchanging money from accounts, and, you know, it should be, how much do you need for interpreting service, not,
Well, I think that's a, interpreting services is a,
You don't know till they
dartboard,
walk in.
because you don't know who you're gonna have come to court.
No, you never know who's going to walk in.
I agree, but it just seems like
And again,
a
if she
heck of a
and-
spike over prior years, and
Well, it's still less than what it was last year, both items. We lowered subscription and books by almost $925, and we're lowering municipal court services by $155, so it is a reduction in both lines.
I'm not going to second guess her, so if that's what she wants, I'll change my recommend.
Okay, for both items, Mr. Mayor?
Please.
I think
So municipal court subscription and books, 801-434-490-240, 575 revised request, and the mayor recommends 575 also now. We okay with that?
It
Yes.
seems like a
Yes.
well-thought-out number, if I may say so.
I would agree
Municipal
with you,
court,
Art.
yeah, municipal court dues, meetings, and conferences for training for violations clerk, including mileage, 600 and 600.
Did you approve interpreting it at night?
We didn't, we're gonna go to that one next.
I'm sorry.
I was just going in order, Mr.
I'm
Khan.
so sorry.
It's all right. 490-250, I guess this is for training he needs, or she needs, Mary Ann, for violations clerk training?
I believe so, yes. He's already taken some of it, done
But
some
is
of
this
it.
again, we, you know, it's peanuts, but
Yeah.
we put money in, we spend nothing, so is this a course for $600? I mean, do we know?
I can go up and run the actuals to date for the court.
What Bob is saying is, since 2013, we've put money there and nothing's ever been spent, and now all of a sudden we're getting a spike. Is that playing catch-up, or?
Well,
No, well,
he's
you have to
relatively
realize
new.
it's completely new staff.
Right.
There's a new
Okay.
mayor. I will tell you that I know in the history, they were denied basic requests for books and things in the
My
past.
question is just that we're giving them 600 for training, which we're all in agreement to train people.
Yep.
So what is 600 by us versus just, here's 600? I mean, are they going to a session, or two
Yeah,
sessions? or
yes,
training?
Yeah.
yes.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
I don't
Okay.
know exactly
I
what they
can-
are, but yes, he is.
Okay, so there's a program that's gonna cost $600.
So we have new
and
people
then
and
we
they need training.
Correct, yeah.
Is everybody okay with 490-250, gentlemen?
Yes, please.
Moving on, municipal court interpreting services, we've revised the request to 925 and the mayor's recommendation to 925 for 490-260. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Office equipment, rent, requested was 200, no recommended. What is this line item for, Marion?
Sorry.
490-270.
I remember we spoke about it, Mary Ann, even though there's no note in here, because I had questioned what it was for.
Doesn't make sense because it's never been billed or
Yeah.
used, so.
Yeah,
it was-
I'm not sure. I had it open. Let me see if she had any explanation for that.
Thought it was something from the county that maybe was required again, or something like that.
State, it would be state.
State.
I would think,
Okay.
if I may say so.
Yeah,
Well, it's never been.
yeah, I think it's one
No,
of those things you have to allocate.
I don't see an explanation for that one, and I think she just carried forward the prior year amount, to tell you the truth.
Maybe I'm thinking of a
You
different
know
one.
what?
And I do know from being in that office
It's
yesterday,
$200.
Well, you can take it out, and you got tons of placeholders, so
Yeah,
you can take
yeah.
it from a different line item in the controlled total.
Yep.
price.
as long as it's not a salary and wage,
There's
you
no
can't.
recommendation.
Yeah, I
No.
was just gonna say, I just noticed that myself.
There's
So,
no recommendation.
so 490 be moved to 0, gentlemen, are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Well,
Peter, did you change your
Well, he didn't have a recommend, he
Yeah.
didn't have a recommend.
Yeah, okay.
I wish it showed the zeros there
municipal
instead of
court.
just blank sometimes.
Municipal court furniture and equipment, 0 requested, 0 recommended, are we okay with that?
Any chairs?
Do they need chairs, that's right.
It'll go into the pool.
Municipal court outside contractors, 2017 high-duty use of independent contractor as violations clerk for a part of a year, 500 requested, 500 recommended.
So this is where, like, I find, unless we're required, and I realize it's only 500, but,
We shouldn't
you
have
know,
it.
we've increased salary, we've accounted for certain level of hours. You know, are we going to use an outside contractor? And if we are, what does $500 buy us?
One or two new people, one people
Two in the court area.
who are violations clerk?
No, just one violations clerk.
What do they, how do we cover vacations and such things then?
I think he does his vacation around court dates.
What about if
Yeah.
he's sick or something?
Yeah, if he's sick, we'd need outside help. And if we lose someone,
Yeah, that's what happened in 2017.
You sure? I can see that.
Could we reduce it to 250, Mr. Allman, with that?
Why don't we reduce it to 250, and then we'd be mindful we
can we
might
flag this and I can,
have to do a transfer?
I want to talk about something in closed session.
Flag it.
All right, we'll hold
Okay.
that one.
Explanation
All right.
why.
Okay.
That's good.
Municipal court printing, 1,000 requested, 1,000 recommended, 490,470. Why such a big jump in 2017, Mary Ann? Any reason for that?
What's that, printing?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
A lot more ticket books or something?
No, well, actually, they're doing e-ticketing,
That's what I
so.
said, yeah.
Traffic tickets, daily notices, and
What page, Mike?
155.
That's
I think it,
59.
again, it was a function of
That's from last year.
prior, and they did, I'm not sure if this would be it, but I do know they were clearing up a bunch of very old warrants. I don't know if they'd reissue, and they were, I don't know what was going on
Well,
exactly.
it all got paid to Corby Printing Corp., so I don't know who
Yeah.
that is.
That's who does all the forms.
Any insight, Marianne, on,
Not just looking at the detail, I'd have to pull the actual,
It's a reduction from last year, gentlemen. Do we want to
Well, also the
hold that
first-
one until Marion gets us more information?
The
Well-
first two lines there are.
Office equipment.
Well, supplies, yeah, so maybe it was miscategorized last year.
no, I think it might have just been, it was called that.
Oh.
That was the way somebody else had input, Margaret or Flo had input it.
Okay.
Well, whatever it is, Corby Printing is doing all the work for us.
Yes, it was all Corby Printing, yeah.
Just have to find out what they do.
You want to
They
hold
know
that,
they
John?
print forms. I
I
mean,
get that.
Why did they print a lot more last year?
well, there are custom, certain custom things that they do in the courts, like print out the violation notices, and they are still done on a dot matrix printer, because it's the state, and it's a requirement.
What's on a dot matrix printer? We're printing stuff on dot matrix here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still have one printer in that room.
One printer in
that's
that
done-
room that prints the
because
violation notices
It's a
that
state
is
standard.
a
I
dot
think probably
matrix
every
print.
court
It's used throughout the
has
state.
one.
It is.
I watched Margaret
And
and
it's sad.
Flo use it a few times, and I was amazed and
Pitiful.
asked them about it.
But it prints through the 3 layers, and it comes out on one of those carbons that you pull apart
Yeah.
with dirty, filthy carbon on it. It's very old-fashioned, and the state mandates it, so they're stuck,
Wow. Wow.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we want to flag that one, gentlemen, or do we want to, since it's a reduction from last year?
Give them 1,000, let's see if we can
Move on?
reduce that.
Okay.
That's just my recommendation on that one.
Mr. Allman?
That's fine.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, municipal court miscellaneous, 200 requested, 500 recommended by the mayor.
Well, I had upped it, the miscellaneous, because I had taken, lowered some of theirs up above, so I wanted to give them a little cushion. But since I went back up on some of them, I can reduce that back to the 200 that they requested.
So we want to make that 200 also for your recommendation, Mr. Mayor?
Please.
Okay,
So 490,500, everybody okay? With the reduction to 200 and 200?
very good.
Municipal court, prosecutor change of venue, 400 and 400, 490,850.
Another place.
Another placeholder, gentlemen, I believe, right?
Yeah, you have
case
to have
we
it
have
in
to-
case
in
of
case-
change of venue.
Everybody okay with that?
No.
I'm okay with it, but I'm not happy about
I
it.
know.
I'll flag.
Okay?
Public defender, other expense, 2,400 requested, 2,400 recommended for 495,200. Everybody okay with that?
If there's just less crime, we'd save a lot of money.
So what,
This is per session. I think it's a certain amount per case. And it's just budgeted
Mr. Alban, you had a
for the
question?
full amount.
But even my question would be just, why is it down as other expense? It's what we pay the public defender, right?
No, but public defender is not an employee. He's an outside contractor. It's an expense item,
Okay.
okay?
To me, just other expense means,
Something other than.
the duty itself, yeah.
It's just to designate it's not a salary and wage
Right.
line, because that gets reflected differently in the,
Sure.
in the budget document.
so the fees are in $200 increments. Is that per session or per case?
Yeah.
Do we
Per
know?
case.
It's per case. Oh,
Are we okay with that, gentlemen?
he's a lawyer?
Yes.
Public defender's a lawyer, yes.
200 a case.
If you apply and you pass the application and you don't have the resources, you're
Get a
entitled
public
to the
defender.
public defender.
Okay.
Moving on, 801-44-902-200, Capital Improvement Fund, 300 was requested, 300 was recommended.
Well, this is a percentage of what we approved for capital, so this is on.
No, it's actually just, I think Peter determined the amount.
Do we have a breakdown of that, Mr. Mayor? I was gonna.
Peter, do you want me to refresh? I think we talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the past, what happened was last year we depleted the
Right,
capital
right.
improvement fund, and the CFO believes that you should have some, it's better to have your surplus in your capital, because that's what you're gonna use it for emergency-wise.
Well, last year we had 0, so I guess that's.
Well, because the policy of the council last year was to deplete the capital improvement fund and use that to fund your 5% of your down payment that you're required to do.
Even though I didn't agree with it, this is where we ran into trouble for that 400,000 for the intersection
Okay.
ordinance, I think, where we didn't have enough to fund it, so, right, Mary Ann, is that?
I believe
is that
so,
correct?
and-
You can move anything we want from any of these reserves right into this amount, so we didn't get in any trouble. I mean, this is available to us. So this number is part of the study of all the ordinances that we have to find out what we have available. So, again.
So do we want to hold this until we have that report back, Mr. Bruno?
It's $300,000, and we're still sitting with $7 million that we have no answer for. So you can take this from the regular surplus if you want, right?
No, you cannot. You cannot tap into regular surplus unless you run it
Yeah,
through the budget.
no.
Okay,
So what
you can
what
take
you'll
it-
see
you can
is,
take it from the $1 million school fund, right? If you wanted to.
I
You can take
believe
it
so, yes.
We canceled all the ordinances last year, and we tried to take some money to put it into this. And the reason we didn't fund this was because the capital improvement fund and the capital surplus fund had well over $500,000.
Yes.
We said, instead of banging the residents, to Steve's point, again, use that money that's in the increase and put it
It's comfortable
against
for me.
this reserve, which we did. So we funded it through old money.
right, no, yeah.
Can we just
I don't
flag
have a
this
problem
until we get our explanation from
And-
Ashley, which I'm hoping will be
Yeah, well, I'm just
imminent?
saying, I just
And-
wanted Mike to understand what this number's about.
And just so you know, well, first of all, you're required to put a 5% down payment, you well know that. And typically, it's funded through this line, and typically, that's how it's determined. And last year, we had enough in the capital improvement fund, and that's why the decision was made not to tax the residents.
Correct.
To just add one more thing to this, the number that the mayor is pulling out of current fund surplus this year is significantly more than in prior years, in part to enable us to move from current fund surplus into the capital surplus to allow spending on capital items.
Okay.
So that was, but again, it was based on some comments by
Yeah.
Ashley.
Can
I
we,
was just gonna say that,
can we
yes.
flag this? Is everybody okay with flagging this one
Yes.
until we get Ashley's report?
please.
Moving along to reserve for ambulance, 903-200, 5,000 and 5,000. I had asked if the reserve, I had asked back in January when the ambulance corps was here. for-
45,000.
What's that?
45,000 as of last year.
Right.
But is that enough money to get them their new ambulance? That was the
It's
question I
what-
had
It's what
asked.
they were expecting,
Okay,
yes.
so we're okay, so
The answer is no, it's not enough, but we give them 5,000, so that's what they get.
that's, okay.
Whether it should be, based upon the cost that they threw out. I mean, maybe this should be.
Based on the cost they threw out, it should be a
10,000.
bunch.
No, I'm saying maybe this goes up because in so many years from now, they're gonna need something else, 5,000, 45,000 on it.
Is a
I think
drop
it was
in the
$250
bucket.
million.
I would
Yeah, in
agree.
that range.
Yeah, it was like,
Some ridiculous.
was
not
a very
ridiculous,
high,
but-
well, it's so expensive.
Ideally,
It's
I'd like
quasi-
I'd like to match them 50/50 almost, you know, town puts up half and their fundraising
Yeah, I mean,
does the other.
this really is, you know,
That's what I had
It's
asked,
a
is this gonna...
quasi-governmental
Yeah.
service.
So assuming they need one every
Extending their volunteers.
10 to 12 years.
but they should have some money. I mean, this
Right.
is,
Yes,
you know,
no, I agree.
I mean, there's no air conditioning or whatever they have. I mean, it just, I mean, we should look at this number to see.
That's why I had asked to see what they were, you know, what the actual amount was and what our,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know...
they track it so they knew what it would be for this purchase.
Okay.
If we want to up it, you know, I'd certainly be in favor of it. Like, they do a priceless job for the town.
I mean, I
You
think,
want to double it?
When do we give, Marion, when do we give them this money?
Well, soon,
When-
right?
No,
when
it
they
goes into the
purchase-
reserve, and then
Yeah.
when they need it for the thing,
Didn't
the
they
check
buy
would be
it?
cut.
Doesn't it come in?
Well, it's on order.
They don't-
When they
yeah, they
get
pay
it, they'll ask us
8
for the
months
check.
or something like that?
Yeah, when it actually shows up, they'll ask us for the check.
Mr. Allman, you had a comment you wanted to make?
no, I agree with Peter, I mean, and Bob. I think it's, you know, invaluable service.
Absolutely.
You know,
Double it.
Everybody okay with, Mr. Mayor, would you be okay with doubling it?
Yes.
I mean, I would support if Peter didn't, I would
Mr. Brewer, you
recommend
in
it.
favor
So
of
I
doubling
think-
Yeah, I'm just trying to, so if we make it 10, I'm just trying to understand, there's 45, we make it 10, they get 55, so then they get 55, that's my question, is when this comes in, they would get the 55, because we're gonna approve this 10?
That's my understanding. Or they may only submit a bill for the 45. I mean,
And
it's
we'll have
either
the
whether we
more
have the
reserve.
extra money or
Yeah.
they have the extra
For their
money.
next one.
Again,
The next one.
We should fund this on a regular
Yeah.
basis because it will be spent eventually. You not have to come up with a huge nut because the ambulance costs almost $300,000 from
Yeah.
us, they get 250 plus. And that's not with, I think they're still looking.
The air conditioner and
extra
restraints and
equipment
all
in it.
that, yeah.
So, again, they need it, it's a service that they provide, they're volunteers, give them the best they can, because someday, like, I might be in the back.
Might be one of us, right?
Aren't they
Or one of
also
our
gonna
loved
get,
ones, so it's important.
aren't they gonna buy some sort of a van, not a van?
Trailer, we're getting a trailer, yeah.
They wanted, yes,
Yes.
They wanna
yes.
put that somewhere too, right, emergency
I
trailer?
believe that's correct.
That they were trying to get grant money for also.
I think
So
that was
we all-
mostly exclusively grant money
Yes,
out
yes.
there for
Are
that.
we all in favor of changing
I
the,
recommend it go double to 10.
10,
everybody, Mr. Cumming, you okay?
I'm enthusiastic.
Mr. Allman?
That's fine with me.
Mr. Cassio made the motion, thank you. Mr. Bruno?
Yep.
That's,
And I'm in favor, so
is that a dollar
we're raising
per
that plus
taxpayer?
5,000.
Well, the mayor changed his recommendation, I believe, yeah.
Next
You know,
line
never raised
is debt service pay, 801-459-2000, 807,000 recommended and requested.
That's required.
That's required, everybody okay with that?
This,
This is the schedule, right? This is the number now?
Yes.
Okay.
and is this the, is this a mix of,
No, that's just the long-term, it's not the bands. You'll see bands down below.
No, it's just the debt, Mike.
The long-term bond,
okay,
as opposed to notes or anything
Yep,
else.
municipal debt, 801-4,
Can
oh,
you hang on
sorry.
1 second? So this is, so one of the questions I had too, I can't find the schedule here, but anyway, regarding the debt, Ashley hopefully is putting together some sort of debt schedule for us, what we have, what we're paying, the new capital that we're proposing, once we have that finalized, and what it's gonna cost us going out. Peter?
Yes.
there is,
I tried to email her last night to get a status, and I think we're switching to emails this weekend too, Mary Ann, so
Yeah.
probably email is down.
Is that
So I
why
tried-
it's down?
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
oh, I'm like hitting,
Yeah,
It's down right now?
it was down as
I
of
wish we
like
could
10 o'clock
notice
last night.
I'm spending an hour here
Yeah.
trying to talk to somebody, a
No,
resident.
I asked him if it was gonna be down. I actually texted him last night
he's
at
telling
11
me to put
o'clock.
my,
Your
Password?
password,
Yes.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Doesn't affect me, I don't use it.
To figure out how to,
When we saw him either Wednesday or Thursday, he said he was doing the switch
dear.
this weekend. I neglected to ask him, is it a 10-minute switch or a?
Day fix.
Right. But, yeah, last night around 10 o'clock, I
So
was trying to
if
do
the
something.
residents are emailing us, that's not happening either, right?
Well, it will be in a hold area, and then when he,
I got
Get
things
to
at
the-
5 o'clock yesterday.
I got something.
yeah,
After
he
that?
started it like after hours per se,
Oh, well.
yeah.
And then I received your email with the, and I tried to download
The
them.
quotes.
And it won't down, and I was like,
I had trouble with the
I can ask him to
memorial
reinstall it.
page, but then I did get
Yeah,
it.
let's find out when he's gonna be done, because, you
I'm
know,
glad you got that.
Yeah.
Let me just
Again,
find
I don't think we'll be losing anything, but it does hamper our communication for the weekend, or as long as it takes him.
page 89,
89, okay.
if you're looking for the debt,
Chris Muxt.
No, in,
367,
part in,
440.
the separate,
Oh, I'm sorry.
the one that I always
I
forget to
look
bring,
over your shoulder.
unfortunately.
You want me to, that spiral bound thing? Sure.
So where is the, this is the debt schedule, just so you know.
My paperweight?
Yeah. So we have, in September, it's page 89.
Thank you. I got it.
Go right to it.
We have 367 on one issue and another 440 on another issue.
Teach me later.
That's the last, I mean, we're freeing up
Yeah, that's what I wanted, so now,
400,000.
right, so now the question is, from Ashley, you know, how do we convert the bands, we don't convert the bands, we keep the bands, we go to long-term bonding, you got new capital, does that go to bonding, does that go to bands? You know?
Well, if you wouldn't increase your debt service this year because you're not gonna have a payment due until next year even if you issued this year.
I'm talking about, you know, going out now.
Oh, yeah. You're talking more than this line, you're
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah,
just general.
because we're freeing up, so we're not gonna have debt.
And interest
But we
rates
have
are only
bands.
going up from here, so it might not be a bad time to lock in long-term rates.
Yeah, well, she's gotta go, someone's gotta go through that.
Do that exercise, yeah.
All right.
Okay. We move on from there, gentlemen?
Thank you.
So 807, right? Yeah.
807,000, yes. And then municipal debt, 801-45930-000, 41,500, 41,500. Is everybody okay with that? Those- Yes, Mr. Bruno?
Yeah, it is what it is, right?
Mr. Allman?
Yes.
Cumming, Cassie?
Yes, I'm afraid.
Moving to page 60, municipal debt services, interest on notes, $95,412 requested. Same amount recommended.
Wait, you missed one?
Did you miss one, the principal on the
140.
bands?
Oh, I'm sorry, principal, yes, principal on bands, yeah, it's the way it got broken up on the sheet, sorry about that. 801-934-000, 140-337 requested, the same amount recommended.
So all these amounts should tie into something.
I'm looking at the audit, they're on here. But actually, this one is $5 more, and I'm just looking at if maybe it was a
Okay, thank you.
transcription
Thank you
error.
so much.
It like gets, the way it breaks up is not, it needs like a page separate, so.
What page you looking
Yeah,
at
yeah,
there
yeah.
again?
I'm looking at sheet 33 in the unaudited financial statement.
So
She
90
wrote 337, it's 332 on here, I don't know if you want to change it by 5.
I just want to make sure we tie it into, and that
Sheet 33.
yeah, I have that. I see the 95, but I don't see the 137. 95, 412.
Wait.
143, you said?
Yeah, it says
Oh,
143.32.
143, it's up.
So that's what I'm saying, there's a $5 thing, but I don't know if there could be an error on this, so just to be safe, since
Okay.
it's only
So we'll keep it-
$5,
we'll
just
keep it
leave
the
it,
same. Yeah,
Leave it.
I would leave it the same.
just in case.
Yeah.
Because I just looked at her budget request forms and it has the 7 on
Okay.
it, so.
Are we okay with 93400, Mr. Bruno?
Yeah,
Gentlemen, we okay with that?
$5 different, but you know, as long as, we'll see what it is.
Thank you.
Mr. Allman?
I'm just wondering, I think if we should consider, depending on how the budget winds up, about accelerating some of these payments. I mean, the bands roll over annually. This is, I think after 3 years, you have to start making a pay down.
I think you're right.
So,
2 or 3, but yes.
you know, some of these are pretty aged. I mean, '06. So we've been paying and rolling these over since 2006.
Wow.
In some instances. So I'm just wondering, do we want to consider, depending on our
Surplus.
surplus or, where we wind up budget-wise, do we want to accelerate some of these payments?
I would say a little bit, it depends on the interest rate we're paying on them, if it's a good rate.
Well, these are
Maybe not.
probably locked in, these are old. But
Well,
do
we
we just
roll
pay
it-
them off?
We roll it annually, so now last year was 2%.
Yeah.
Uh,
So-
I would only imagine it's going to go up.
I don't disagree with you, that's why, I think we need to understand, this is the big piece of the budget that we've been accepting because we're paying it, but we need to roll this out for the next 10 years, because the bands are 10-year, I think they're 10 years, right, the bands?
I would think too, no, bands are 1 year.
No,
They're
you
short.
have 10 years before you have to actually convert or pay, right?
No, I don't think so, because there's
Yeah.
ordinances from 1999. That's what Michael's saying. I think if you look at the first three items, if you paid those off entirely, it probably would make your debt issue a lot more attractive, because you're not including old stuff in it.
I think what happens is, as with everything, these issues become commingled and it becomes like a fungible pot. So they're just rolling. I think aside from the 3-year and starting the principal pay down, I don't know if we're capping or there's a statutory end on how long you can roll them
Bands,
over for.
I think Ashley sent an email.
Okay.
I'll find it, but I
Yeah.
thought she said 10 years before you have to do something with it.
It could be, and what you
Somewhere
could
over
be,
10 years.
what could have happened is because these,
If it's a, yeah, but if it's a band, you can do 10 years, then you have to pay it
Yeah.
or convert it. This, I think, is bond stuff, right?
well, no, actually, this schedule, sheet 33 is the bands.
Bands.
So what I think my, Bob is correct in that you have to, after 10 years, and to explain the 3 ones at the top that are older than 10 years, I think what happened was the spending only happened recently, and just to the point of canceling them out and just getting, I think you make your debt issue, long-term debt issue a lot more attractive by getting rid of that scrap, the older stuff, because then it doesn't look like you're,
I think she's got to come back with a schedule.
Yeah.
We've got to clean up the balance sheet. I've been saying that for years. It's just got to be cleaned up. The reserves, the debt, everything's got to be
No
looked
reason
at.
it can't happen this year.
Yeah. So Peter, she's got to
She's
just,
got, yeah, she's been working on it, like I said, tried to get a status last night, and that's when I found out about the
You got the
email
one to pay
issue.
it off.
Yeah.
Pay it off.
There's a $6,000 one that we're paying $113 a year. I agree with Mr. Allman, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Sure. How could you not?
It's $6,000, and we banded it since 2007. It makes no sense. We okay to move on, gentlemen? Mm-hmm. 801-459-35000, municipal debt service, interest on notes, $95,412, requested and recommended.
That's fine.
Everybody okay with that, Mr. Bruno?
yeah.
it's required, it's on sheet 33.
That's
Yep.
fine. Where are you? I'm sorry.
I'm on page 60,
No, I know.
935000.
Okay.
Deferred charges unfunded, 151-548-53, requested and recommended. Everybody okay with that?
So,
What is that?
yeah.
That's the ones, okay, so that's
Thank you.
$11,081
What is that?
of open space grant, the DEP grant receivable of $110,855.53, and then the over expenditure of appropriations, the 29,612 was the legal,
Yeah, that was a salary, so that's got to come off the balance sheet too.
yeah.
So say it again, 29,000 was the.
Well, 29,612,
Salary for
yeah.
attorney.
$11,081 open space grant receivable. This was
Yeah.
that exercise that Ashley had to clear up the grants receivable.
So this is another one.
This, you did this last year.
Oh, this is the one that we.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
so you'll see an appropriation,
Why
and you
not?
see it also coming in on a revenue.
Okay, so then.
It balances itself
It's a
out.
pass-through that you just have to run through your
Yeah, no, I
budget.
understand that, but when we did the ordinance, we were not funding 29,000, we were just doing the grant receivable at that time. So where did all this other stuff come from? When we did the ordinance, right? We were doing the 163,000, whatever it was. We were wiping out the grant receivable for something.
There was 2 of them, the DEP grant receivable, remember that one, where it was
Yeah, but we didn't have.
for
we didn't have-
West Place?
But we didn't have the deferred charges from the attorney in here.
No, but that was something you knew about, that you've been.
I know, I've been asking, but, so I'm trying to understand. We did an ordinance or whatever for a number to get rid of a grant receivable, which did not include.
Well, you don't have to do the attorney fees in an ordinance. So the ordinance was to address the grant receivables, because as I understand it from Ashley, that was the mechanism where you had to do it to clear it off the books.
Okay, so is
And
this
then-
in addition to that?
Yeah,
Is it
but
the
you-
163 plus the 151 now?
No, the 163 wasn't
Got rid of it.
163 at the end of the day. It was reduced because I found out that
I understand that,
was
but
some,
but it got rid of the grant receivable, so that's gone from
it
the
just took it
160
off the books, but
So-
there was
so
no
this is-
financial
This is now
impact.
cleaning up more deferred charges on the balance sheet?
It's that, running it through the budget. What you did not have a financial impact on the budget, or on the budget, and now this is running
It had a
it.
zero impact, except we lost money for taxpayers, so there was.
I'm not suggesting it's, no, I'm not suggesting
I'm
it's a
saying
non-event.
It was, you know, what I call the Mickey Mouse accounting, but, you know, you put it in, you take it away, but it was money that we wanted to use.
For other things.
other
No, I
things.
think what happened was there was this receivable set up. The money would never came in, as we talked about. It was for that West Place. It was all engineering
Yeah.
fees. And so what happened was, when we realized you'd been spending against this hope for money that's never going to happen, that's why you have to handle it now, because it was paid out.
I understand. So this 151
Yes.
is consistent of 29,000, you said, 11,
81,
and what's the 81?
$11,081 of
No, I'm
open
just-
space
yeah,
grant
I'm
receivable.
just rounding though.
Oh, okay.
So that's 40,000. You know what the difference is, Peter, or no?
Or, Mary Ann,
No,
the
I
29
don't.
is salary and wages.
Oh, sorry, 29,612,
Yeah.
and then there's 110,855.53 was the DEP grant receivable,
So that's the big piece.
and then the open space grant receivable was 11,081.
Now, I guess if I'm understanding Bob's question right, the original ordinance we did for 163 for the changes and all that is inclusive of this 151, or is that 163 becoming 313?
Yep.
That's your question.
Yep.
And you started.
I need to see the ordinance to see that number because I do know
Because
that
I'm
the
worried what you're
number,
worried about. I think we're on the same
the
page.
number was reduced a number of times. I have email chains.
Yeah,
Yep.
but we got, let's say it was 150, I don't really care.
But does this,
This, I understand it, this takes that out.
yeah, but is it becoming 313 or 314, or is it still
Yes.
saying
No.
163?
Yes. This
Maybe.
has nothing, this has nothing to
yes.
do with the
Well-
grant receivable that we wrote off from West Place. These are three
Yes, it
different
does.
numbers. No, it
Well-
doesn't. These are
Well,
three different
should we get
numbers.
an answer from Ashley? and
I
just
think we need
flag
to
it
ask
for
that.
now?
Let's flag this one, because
Okay.
I think what Bob and I have
wanna
the
make
same
sure it's-
question.
Hopefully, it's not that.
I think the West Place is becoming 313 based on what I see, but I, without her explanation,
We're just guessing.
we're just guessing.
So what was the 110 you said, Marion?
That was the NJDEP grants receivable.
Okay, here. Hello. In response to a question, Ashley, when you have a chance, please review these figures again. I believe you gave them before I canceled the open PO for the DEP ordinance. I'm hoping it reduces the deferred charges for that ordinance. I await your advice. She had originally said to you in December 21st,
Who, me?
yes.
Okay.
There was an open space grant receivable, she said, the amount of deferred charges needed for the 2018 budget are open space grant receivable, 11,081, DEP grant receivable, 148,852, over expenditure of appropriations, 29,612, totaling 189,545. When I saw that, I said to her, you have to remember that the DEP grant receivable was inflated because it had open POs that were never going to be spent, and I canceled them. And that's how she brought the 148,852 down to 110,855, because I canceled 38,000 of open POs.
Open PO.
And she agreed that, yes, the new number
Is 151.
is 110 for that component, and then the sum of the three is the 151.
So when we passed that ordinance, were there financial entries generated off of that? Because my question would be, if we approve 148 or 163, and now we're only asking for 110, what happened to the
38,000.
50? 110 to 163.
Oh, 160.
That's a question
What
for
happened
That's
to
the,
what I'm saying. So
53K.
the 20, I know the 29,000 for the attorney was not in that number when we did it, the ordinance up here. So I just don't understand what this is and what the other one was at this point. And whether it's a total of 300 or now, I don't know.
150,
I don't know what it
150.
is. Yeah. But that's not what we passed. We didn't pass. What was the amount? Do you have the ordinance up there?
no, I'm going to
which one
look
is
at the town website. That
That's what
I
I'm
can-
on right now. Which one
We
is it?
passed
I
it
don't know.
like January, at the first meeting.
Yeah.
At the first meeting.
It was 163, I think.
Was it at the Sindai
Gentlemen,
or?
can we take a 5-minute break, gentlemen?
I would welcome that.
Sure, it's not a
Is
bad
that okay?
idea. Seems timely and appropriate.
Yeah, I just,
And we're recording.
so we will, I guess, Mr. Bruno, on deferred charges, 801-46870-100, can we get an explanation from Ashley?
I already
You have that,
made a
Mr.
note
Mary?
to get it
Okay.
from her.
So we're going to hold that one, gentlemen,
And
until...
also, Peter,
Yes.
can we just revisit whatever it is we approved for the original grant receivable?
Yes.
And how that money would be
Yeah.
put back? Yeah.
Yeah.
Special emergency authorization, 801-46875-000. It's the last year of the reevaluation cost financed and repayable over 5 years. 2018 is the last year of the $56,000 payment,
That'll
Jonathan.
fall off next year.
That'll fall off next year, yes. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Do
It
we,
is what it is, as they say, yes.
is there a need, has the tax department come to us, or before Ray left, did he give any indication on the viability of the reval that was done 5 years ago? In terms of, are we looking, are we seeing an increase in appeals, and is that revaluation becoming dated, and does it have to be rethought?
Oh, no, in fact, no, he said, I think is pretty sound, and they've had great success in defending tax appeals, and the number is low compared to towns who have not been revaled. I mean, without specifically asking, do we need to reval within the next few years? Well, I didn't ask that question, but instead, the comment is kind of like, we revaled recently, so, our tax appeals are lower than a lot of other towns.
And the reval comes from the Bergen County Tax Board, right?
No. There's a couple ways. You can decide to reval, or you can be ordered and directed to. They look at, I think, if your tax rate is over a certain, if you're, there's a certain rate for your equalization value. I think it's like 75%.
Okay.
If you're under 75%, then they ask you to reval. There's other factors too, if it's a certain amount of time.
There are a number of factors, and we have to keep current. We can't let it get way behind, and then things would not be appropriate. Everyone would not be taxed fairly at that point, and you might get less appeals because you're being undertaxed.
Absolutely. Reserve for uncollected taxes, 801-508-9900, 879-983-58, requested and recommended. It's based on last year's used formula, correct, Marion?
Actually, I asked the gentleman from Lurch Vinci who's working on the budget to evaluate this number because of the fact that we had so many collections last year. There's a possibility we can reduce this.
Reduce this, okay.
And the only thing is if it's high and you don't use it, it goes into surplus. So, but again, you don't want to overtax.
We don't want to overtax, correct?
Yeah, and a
is
lot
that
of
number-
times they can't do it because it's normally part of the unaudited financial statements, but it's, when you don't have the school taxes, you can't really do your calculation. So bottom line is, it's flagged because I'm looking for a better
Okay.
number.
So we're gonna get a better number from Mary Ann once the
Yeah.
auditor provides that number to you.
Yeah,
We'll have that.
there's a formula you
Yeah,
follow, and there's a
okay.
minimum you have.
All right, gentlemen, that
So
is it.
this basically is the reserve for uncollected taxes, obviously. And do we know because it's the same, it's a big number. Do we know what, at the end of the year, is uncollected?
Yes.
So how much of this falls in reserve? Because every year we have $1.5 million, $1.2 million in capital surplus, and this is a big piece of it, I would assume.
No, you're not capital for surplus, you mean current fund.
Current fund surplus, yeah. So this goes right into it, because I don't know how much we have as uncollected.
Yeah.
So if it's 400,000,
Very
which I,
little.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
so,
I think our collection rate, Ashley pointed out last year, I think it was higher than it's been in a long time. It's in the, let me look, see if I can see something.
I mean, you can just get us a
So
number, I'm just curious.
sheet 22.
I just want to know, we taxed the taxpayers.
You're talking about the unaudited, Mike, or the?
Yes, the unaudited.
I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
No. I think this is the schedule.
You said sheet 22, Mr. Alden?
Sheet
Yes,
22.
in fact, the amount, we reduced the amount we can anticipate as collecting of delinquent taxes in the revenue side. We haven't gone over that yet, but it's based on the number here. And I've circled at line 13, it shows that the collection rate was 99.07%.
It's excellent.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
So, again,
Does that-
this is a huge number that impacts tax dollars, obviously. And it goes into surplus again.
Right.
So this is,
I asked them to calculate it. Because at the time we were preparing the budget, I looked at the unaudited financial statements, there's a page for that, and it's not filled in, and I know from, that there's many factors that go into the calculation. If you go to sheet 25, you can see the way it's calculated. But there's nothing in there right now. That's what you pull in. You pull in the school tax, you pull in the high school tax, the county tax, which they just set their rate, so that's another piece that we have. And then you
The
figure
county
out.
tax is staying flat, correct?
Yeah, it's an election year, yes. It went up a lot in the last few years.
Correct, and the school tax should go down because they received a huge increase.
Did they? Good for you guys.
I think it was almost 3 times what they got last time.
That's fantastic.
Or maybe, I shouldn't say 3, it's significantly higher than it was in the past.
Okay, so in that alone should drive it, plus the great collection rate, so, we should see a drop in this number, which is,
All right, so we'll have this, the auditor will get us this new number for,
just Friday I asked for it, so.
Just going off that, I'm looking at the actuals from 13, 14, 15. We collected 800,000 plus in those years, we never spent it. So I'm assuming that all went to surplus?
That's how it works. As I understand it,
Yeah.
whatever doesn't get,
Goes right
isn't
down.
necessary, it's
Okay.
a transfer.
so
We spent-
$2.4 million went into surplus.
It's not that you transferred it, it didn't get spent.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do we transfer it from? And
We transfer out of the budget into like surplus, I believe. I'm not sure exactly.
yeah, it goes into surplus.
okay, and then now we're using it in 16 and 17?
Wait a second. I gotta get my hands on the page you're referring to.
Yeah, because in 3 years, it was zeroed out, yeah, it was,
So
nothing was spent, where'd that money go?
nothing
Yeah,
spent,
nothing,
and now we're taking the money in, 800,000,
that's going out.
and it's going out. So what changed from
Wait.
13, 14, 15 to 16 and 17?
Wait.
I think it's just,
No, it's just a matter of whether it was accounted for, how it was accounted for. It wasn't taken. It was a journal entry. There's two sides. There's budget entries and there's GL entries. And you have to do budget entries and GL entries. And sometimes people only do GL entries and you don't see it come out of the budget.
How did, or why did the accounting change?
That's what
My
new
quick
people.
guess, Steve, is you remember we didn't have a CFO for many years, and then we had a few in the past couple years, so maybe they saw it was being done or not being done. I mean, this is only a guess.
No, this is what I'm
So-
saying to you, Steve. Typically, to get it into where they need to get it, it's a GL entry. The budget entry should be done, but it doesn't have to be done. And what I'm saying to you is I think the past two CFOs knew to do the budget entry, and whoever was handling it prior to that didn't do the budget entry.
Okay.
So I
That's-
don't think anyone was handling it, lack of a CFO, that, no sense going back.
but just to be clear, this money we collected it in
Right.
these periods, and in these periods, I'm assuming a good portion of that went to surplus. So even though
It says
even though it says zero,
No, that's where it ended up, in the, yes.
It was probably just how it was accounted
So-
for, but
Okay.
yeah, it went to surplus.
Yeah, that $2.4 million, that went to surplus.
Yeah, no,
I
no.
understand where it went.
But just the way
I'm
it shows
saying,
up on the
way it
ledger.
shows up,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
don't care for it, there should be, you know. and I
Yeah,
can't-
well, just, I mean, for those who are accounting
That's it,
minded,
right.
you have a GL. The general ledger is the driver of all, a lot of the numbers that go on the financial statement. The supporting ledgers are, you know, the budget and, you know, all the other trust budget ledgers are almost akin to like subsidiary ledgers. And if your subsidiary ledgers should match your GL, but they don't always, but the GL controls. So that money isn't sitting somewhere, it flowed into surplus.
Into surplus.
It might have been a circuitous route, because it could have gone in as an
But the
unappropriated
budget, the
reserve.
budget's not a subsidiary ledger. The
No,
budget-
it's not, I
the
said it's
budget's a
akin
budget.
to,
It
I
just
understand,
sits
it's
there.
akin to, though, in terms of how it interrelates with the GL.
Yeah, so it goes, it's basically, but I understood this, that this was a requirement that we had to
You have to,
Yeah,
do.
yes,
correct.
Okay.
it's statutory.
So can we, I know it's not, can we get a dollar amount of like the last 2 years, what we actually did not collect?
That's in the financials, that's, Ashley can speak to it, but it shows the
I don't see
money's.
the number, though.
Yeah,
I
okay.
see the
No, it's on a
percentage.
different schedule, Michael pointed it out, what sheet is
sheet
that?
22, I think it's,
Yeah,
You have tax appeals
I mean,
pending, but-
Ashley can probably speak to this, but my understanding is you reserve it, okay, and then when it doesn't come in, you may, so that point 93 of the total
Just under a
tax
percent that
would
didn't get
be set
taken out of the
aside,
eight.
kind of like, and that's what you can hope to collect then next year, and you
Or during
budget
the
for
tax
that,
sale.
yeah.
I'm assuming it's line 12 in that schedule, Bob, but.
303,000?
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yes,
assuming.
yes.
That's what wasn't collected.
That wasn't collected, and that's out of the 8, whatever, last year. That doesn't sound right.
So you had 500,000 flowing back into the
And then when you-
reserve, or whatever you want to call it.
That's what
the
we think, but
surplus.
we don't know.
Well, she can, when Ashley
Yeah.
comes, we can,
Yeah, that's
clearly.
fine.
So we're gonna hold that one, well,
Yeah, because then we're gonna get a better
we're gonna get a
number.
better number
Again,
anyway.
800,000 is a statutory number set up by the year past revenue.
Correct. Or
Past
collection rate,
collections.
collection rate.
And the actual current year tax burden.
Well, that's.
In all the-
it should be-
99.07 is
it
a
should be the
fantastic
tax
number,
burden.
John.
Yeah, it's
but
tax
unfortunately-
burden manipulated by what you collected in the past to approximate what you may
Okay.
not collect. And like, if you, now that you said like the school's going down and the county's flat, it should be a good number for you.
Now, the other thing I don't see, Mary Ann, anywhere is the the taxes we collected.
That goes into the revenue side,
Okay.
and that is on the revenue sheet. It's maxed, it's determined based on this document here. So the 30363, 639.
No, I'm saying the pre-collected taxes that we had the rush in December.
Oh, I think you have to reserve them for, that, yeah, you can't,
No, I'm just saying, where did they?
that
go?
doesn't run through the budget.
Okay,
That doesn't come in the budget.
all right. I just wanted to make sure that, because I know we had to set up some kind of refund system if people had asked and all that, but have we been asked for any refunds on that, on the prepayments?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, good.
So if I look at the schedule, just so I'm trying to understand it, it looks like line number 5, the total tax levy was 37,757,000. Then if I jump to
What page?
10, this sheet 22, if I jump to line 10 and look at 17, there's an asterisk somewhere, included overpayments applied as part of 217 collections, there's 36,571. Looks like that's against 37,757. I just don't see that difference anywhere, though. I don't know. Okay, Ashley needs to explain what this is. Please.
Okay,
I mean, to me, it's line 5, the tax levy of
That's the total.
37,757.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole series of adjustments
Yeah.
that bring us to total line 14, 37,410. And the net of the 37,410 and the 37,757
Yep.
is the 303.
Okay.
So
And that
it-
says, so
that-
it says, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So line 5 is the levy, what we
Yep.
what we expected to charge.
Yep.
And line 14 is what we actually collected through real cash, through transfers, canceled, omitted, abated.
Yep.
So, I mean,
And then we set up another reserve for tax appeals pending for 350.
yes.
So then we realized 37,060. So is it the 37,060 against the 37,757? Right?
Let me get back there. I think it's the,
But we're saying we have a bunch of pending stuff too, that's not, we didn't get that either. I think, let me just calculate this, see if that even works. 37.
Yeah. Just wanted to get the chill out.
37,757.
It's just getting comfortable.
You were just getting comfortable?
So the difference, Mike, on the total current taxes realized in cash, no, that goes to a different sheet, 17, the 37,060 and the 37,757, the difference is 697. So I'm not sure what we should use and not use, to be honest with you, but
well, I am hoping that sheet 25 gets filled out and we can all look at it and figure it out.
good idea. Okay.
That's a lot of money, man.
Yeah, I
$37
just-
million.
Yeah. 65% goes to.
Okay.
This under here.
That's the last line item for the 60 pages, gentlemen. Motion to go into closed to discuss personnel?
So before we do that.
Oh, sorry,
I'm
Mr.
sorry. Just, so we have an outstanding that Peter is working with Ashley on getting us this balance sheet analysis. Do we have the revenue at this point, or is that, is that contingent on?
The revenue is,
No, you've had it in your
Yeah.
book. Some things, I cleaned it up a little bit because, and we did a reduction to construction code by 20,000 and took out some of the lines up top because I realized that we didn't account for some grants we're going to be receiving, don't
My
get.
revenue is blank.
looks like everyone's is
My
missing that page.
That's,
My revenue is blank.
I mean, I have it. in
I
mine.
gave it to you.
Is it something we inserted at a
Do you have the
later
capital
point?
analysis in there?
I have the capital analysis.
No, the tax analysis, it's not?
No.
We
No,
never,
no, we don't have the tax impact either.
unless it came out afterwards.
What?
Yeah, it's blank.
Yeah, I mean,
I have 3 empty tabs.
I have that it was printed on 2/20.
Excuse me, I have to take this call from my daughter.
but I don't remember.
And then we got a
We
change
handed it
in
out.
assessed value.
Okay.
I'm glad you raised the question.
So I guess the outstanding thing is we need the analysis from Ashley on the surplus revenues, however we want to handle
A
that,
lot of
whatever.
analysis from Ashley.
We need the engineering breakdown from Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Paul
Was gonna
told me about
revise.
that for Monday night.
and then we were going to revise, and we need the
Public affairs.
public affairs breakdown, and
Debt schedules,
debt schedules, of course, and then
collected taxes.
we have to have Ashley do uncollected taxes breakdown.
Okay.
And capital improvements, I guess, we'll discuss Monday night. Is that, anything else, gentlemen, that you think of?
No.
Do we want a motion to go into closed?
So moved, and the purpose is to discuss.
Discuss personnel, yes.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Kellerman?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes,
Council President DeSena?
Yes.
and we don't anticipate coming back
We
into
will not
public.
come back from
Okay.
closed.